And in this, my 5th opportunity to preside over a Capella commencement, I cannot begin to tell you how exciting it is to look out over such a happy, worthy, and large group of people. And I'm including all of you on the live webcast around the world as well. I am a student and fan of history, and Nashville, Tennessee has played an important and varied role in the history of the United States. And probably no son or daughter of Nashville is better known or more famous than Andrew Jackson. Perhaps with the exception of Miley Cyrus, if she's elected president someday. But I'm not betting on that. Andrew Jackson moved to Nashville in 1804. Tennessee had only been a state for 8 years. And he built a home nearby. He was a U.S. Army general in the War of 1812. He was elected to the U.S. Senate for Tennessee.
Thank you.
And he became president in 1828 and then was re-elected 4 years later. And in fact, during his campaign, he was called by his opponent a jackass, pardon my language, so many times that when Jackson founded the Democratic Party a few years later, they adopted the donkey as their symbol. So we have Andrew Jackson to thank for that. But I want to tell you a very brief story about Andrew Jackson that isn't as well known. In his second term in 1835, President Jackson was leaving the U.S. Capitol after a funeral. And as he exited out the door, a man named Richard Lawrence emerged from the shadows. Richard Lawrence was an unemployed housepainter who blamed President Jackson for his misfortunes. As President Jackson approached, he pulled out a pistol, aimed it directly at Jackson's chest, and pulled the trigger. The gun misfired. Lawrence, though, was prepared for this. He pulled a second pistol out of his waistband, aimed it directly at President Jackson, and pulled the trigger. Again, that second gun misfired. President Jackson had regained his composure by this point, took out his cane and began beating Lawrence over the head with his cane, and then none other than Davy Crockett wrestled Lawrence to the ground. He was subdued, arrested, and later institutionalized for life after he was deemed insane. The nation felt that as a young nation, Providence itself had protected the young nation and saved their president from the first ever assassination attempt on a sitting U.S. president. In the weeks that followed, those two pistols were tested hundreds of times. They were found to be new, in good condition, and each of the hundreds of times they were tested, they worked perfectly. Providence favors the brave. Andrew Jackson went on to do other great things in this country. But in that moment, if you set out to do something bold and courageous, whether it is to lead a struggling young nation or to commit yourself to a demanding, rigorous academic program that could transform your life, you are taking great risks. There are unseen forces that could try to derail you or bring you down. But you never know what is going to happen, and this is the most important part. Fortune favors the brave. Adventus fortuna iuat. Fortune favors the brave. All of you have been bold and courageous in committing yourself to your program. You've persevered, and ultimately, you've achieved your goal. You haven't done it alone, and though this is a moment for thoughtful reflection, it's also a time to celebrate. And I'm sure that all of you, the spouses, siblings, sons, daughters, parents, other family members, not to mention the neighbors, co-workers, commanding officers, all of those who have helped you along the way, on behalf of all the graduates here at Capella, we thank all of the friends and family for your support. Thank you for helping your graduate on their journey. Now, one of the things that I really love to do as president of Capella is to talk to our learners. I like to do that at colloquia, on the phone, and certainly at commencement. My favorite thing is to hear your stories. Every one of you has a story, about how you've overcome obstacles, you've committed yourself to an audacious goal, and I'd like to share just one of those stories with you right now. I'm going to read it so that I get it right. And this story comes from Gloria Sabalos. Actually, I have the afternoon one. I'm going to read it to you anyway, but Gloria is going to be here in the afternoon. Gloria is in the School of Public Service Leadership, and she says, I began my PhD journey in 2007. I had not done formal academic work since 1984 when I earned my master's degree. The idea of attending an online program was frightening at first, but Capella made the transition an easy one for me. It has been a challenge, and I wanted to quit many times because it seemed like an impossible task, balancing my studies and my role as a leader in my organization. What kept me going is that I am the first in my family to complete a PhD. Being Hispanic and the only female among 5 siblings, I wanted to show the younger generation that it is possible to achieve what you set out to do in life. My mother only has a 9th grade education and my father a high school diploma. They always gave us the encouragement to achieve what they weren't able to. And because of that support, now I can lead other Latina young women to pursue their dreams. Does that story sound similar to one that some of you may have? It does for me. And every one of you has your own story. They're very inspiring to all of us at Capella. And whether it's about how you got through some of those darkest moments, or how that felt, the moment you knew that you actually were going to complete your program, how did that moment feel to you? Those are the stories that we love to hear. Now, you have committed yourself not only to your teachers and your mentors and to your academic program, but also to your future, and most importantly, to yourself. All of us at Capella are honored and inspired by that. We are honored to share this day here with you today, and we wish you all of the best in the future. Thank you very much.